Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 352 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined occasionally and today by the one and only Willie Saylor from Easton, Pennsylvania. To my right, Daniel Roy Lobdell Jr. To my left, Stephen Kyle Brackey. Government names only here. And
screw government names.
Yeah, he's anti-government names. Okay. Got to start with, a lot happened this weekend. It's the best part about wrestling is that basically every weekend a lot happens, so there's a lot to talk about. Very convenient if you have a twice-weekly radio show that goes for an hour and change. So this has been working out great. Ohio State, Penn State goes down on Friday night. I was so excited for this great duel. I theorized how it could be close, this and that. And basically, 9 minutes in, the duel was over because RBY beat Luke Pletcher. So I think you start there with that match. And there's not many matches where Luke Pletcher is going to outshoot someone. But darn it, it happened in this match. But RBY played it smart, played it safe, got it done in tiebreakers. And really at that point, you were like, oh boy, it could be a long night. And 141 made the night even longer. But thoughts, Willie, on RBY's performance. And, you know, as a true freshman, just getting your hand raised is the big thing. You're not looking for style points at this level, especially against someone as good as Luke Pletcher.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that it takes some kind of level of maturity to understand that too. RBY, you know, is especially with a true freshman, a guy that's used to putting up a lot of points, to go out there and probably know you're going to maybe be criticized a little bit for being defensive and wrestling with a low posture and not taking a lot of shots. But the objective is to win, and RBY did that.
He did, and it was very obvious he was on a reattack mission that entire time. Basically, the same shot from Pletcher yielded the same reattack attempt. I don't even know if RBY ever got a lock. There were a couple times he was in or kind of got his hands two legs, but never got in on a deep lock. And, you know, the move, the exchange of the match is when Pletcher goes head outside, has him completely lifted off the mat, and he kind of has the elevator position and just kicks him through to come around. And that was really the opportunity there for Pletcher. And it's those little moments that, you know, win and lose matches. If there's no takedown, it's those little exchanges that can do it.
Did anybody see a picture where Pletcher had RBY like kind of horizontal or like in a very precarious position and be like, Pletcher did not finish this takedown? Like, when he had him up, that's a...
Yeah, he should be, you would think, automatic. But RBY's just got, you know, he's unreal. He's got that kind of freaky feel, really good hips. He's tough to take down. And
at that same time, though, did you think that there was some lingering knee issues? Because to me, RBY didn't have the same pop. Now, obviously, it didn't matter in the sense that he still won the match. But to me, he didn't have that same pop that he normally does.
Well, here's my thoughts on RBY. It's, man... He has had so many iterations as a true freshman. He comes out, and I know some of that's a level of competition, but not exactly. Because he comes out, and he's just absolutely steamrolling everyone. He annihilates Patel. He beats Tim Rooney, which everything comes back to. And then he comes to the scuffle, and he looks really sketchy his first two matches against not elite dudes. Then he has Gomez. He looks amazing, gets bombed, wrestles back really well for third. Then he loses to Thornton. But he was losing before he injured himself, right? I believe.
Well, it was 0-0, and then he tried the backflip.
Okay, so he wasn't losing. But loses to Thornton. We miss him for a little bit. And then he comes back, and then he wrestles a real conservative style, but he figures it out. And I guess at this point, that's what you say. But I just don't feel like I have a good sense of what exactly he is at this point right now. I think he's an All-American. He's certainly a contender, right? But where does he exactly fit in the pecking order? I don't think he's tier 1. I don't think he's proven to be that yet, but certainly a top 5-ish potential kind of guy.
Well, isn't that something like, I don't want to say microcosmic, but Penn State leading up to the Ohio State duel didn't look especially sharp.
And this was the interesting thing. I mean, Kyle and I have been talking about this basically since this happened. Penn State hates Ohio State so very much. From the athletes to the coach. I mean, Cale was absolutely locked in, like very demonstrative, much more, Cale kind of gets this reputation. He just kind of sits in the chair, hangs out. He's very calm the whole time. He was animated. He was into it way more than normal. This was super important to Penn State. And
yeah, make no mistake about it. Penn State, those dudes.
It's beyond rivalry.
The circle on their date is Ohio State. They hate them.
They hate them. And, Chinzo puts out the Instagram afterwards, thanks to Ohio State for letting us come get a workout in. Like, they simulate the block field goal.
Yeah, they trolled him with the block field goal from the football game a few years ago while, like, the arena's filling up and everybody's there. The Mark and Nick Lee putting up the Tom Brady Gronk video on Instagram.
Even their Barstool interviews with Kyle Bauer, I think Chinzo and Mark both were like, oh yeah, Chinzo had some funny answer. He's like, no, we respect all the teams the same. He's like, which team do you hate the most? And then he just says Ohio State. Yeah. It's like they hate them. They really do.
Or at least they draw the most joy out of beating them as compared to other teams.
Yes. Schadenfreude level 1,000.
No. So Bauer asked Vincenzo, what college team or wrestler do you hate the most and why? I try not to hate anybody, especially somebody I am competing against, Ohio State.
And Mark's was pretty similar too. Mm-hmm. And it's not just because they're the contending team either. There's something else there.
Least favorite coach, Tom Ryan, Ohio State.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think there is a big obvious difference in the way the two teams go about their preparation, their lifestyle, like all of it, right? There's just it's a great dichotomy, and right now it's going the way of Penn State, so they kind of take joy out of being like, well, our way is the best way,
Yeah.
So
well, certainly it didn't, and this isn't the genesis of it. I think Penn State had long, did not like Ohio State for a long time, but when Kyle Snyder put out "And Hell's Coming With Me," that didn't help.
No, it did not help. It did not help at all.
Well, yeah.
So, okay. And one other thing that I want to mention that was very noticeable watching the duel, even on TV, there were a lot of Penn State fans there. It was very loud when they were having big moments. You could hear it. And it makes me think back to a year ago.
50 tickets.
When we were talking about they had it at Rec Hall when they could have probably sold out the BJC, right? And
Rec Hall is our wrestling venue.
Yeah. Don't make fun of our wrestling venue, Tom. It's not nice. So that was like a little Cale Tom Ryan exchange there over the venue. So, and the thing was, Ohio State didn't get hardly any tickets at all for it, right? And so, but Penn State, they created this atmosphere that was just basically 100% Penn State. Ohio State has theirs at St. John's. St. John's is big, right? Colin and I was saying, they hosted Big Tens there. It's a big venue, so plenty of room for Penn State fans as well. And man, you could hear it, and it was kind of almost like, man, Cale, once again, even with venue choice, Cale knows what he's doing, because there was a stark difference. And there were certainly more than 6,000 Ohio State fans. They would have filled up Rec Hall with Ohio State fans, the equivalent, right, if they had it, but they don't have it. And it was very obvious throughout the duel that there was a strong contingent.
And for the record, not that my opinion matters one bit, but if Tom Ryan had done the same thing and been like, yeah, Penn State, you're getting 50 tickets, I would have been perfectly fine with that. To me, you should try to create as good an environment as you can for your home team and do everything that you can to take advantage of your home court. Yeah, obviously, it's not how Tom does things.
Well, no, you can't. You can't do that with a. You can't just say you can't.
Well, I think I'm willing to bet that Cale allotted whatever the minimum amount of tickets was, but that's not the gentlemanly way of doing it.
All right, so 141. Man, McKenna came out strong against Nick Lee. He almost threw him, but it's actually a credit to Nick Lee's upper body skills. Nick Lee, very, very skilled upper body, and McKenna had to kind of clear out of it. So he comes out. He's a nice early lead for McKenna, and then you could just see in the second period, started to see some clock watching. His face was getting red, and even though he had a pretty substantial lead, I think we were all watching that saying, this is going to be a thing, and this is going to come down to it late. And man, flat out gassed. He gassed against Nick Lee, and you can say it's Nick Lee's pace or whatever. I don't believe it was related to the injury or the time that we saw McKenna out. But man, I picked McKenna to win NCAAs. I kind of changed my pick with Yanni. Do I have? Well, this certainly didn't cement that in my mind. But at the same time, I haven't seen McKenna really gas like that before. I haven't seen him have a performance like that. I feel like it's just a one-off thing. I like McKenna still going forward. Now, if it happens again, if he has a bad Big Tens or whatever, of course I'll reevaluate like anything. But I can't say this is anything other than a really great win for Nick Lee, where his pace was absolutely a factor. And what was crazy was McKenna's such a smart wrestler. He took such a bad shot, and he just feeds right. And Nick Lee's reattacks are that's like his thing. That's like his probably best attribute in terms of scoring. And man, he played right into it. He passed right behind those hands and got the takedown. Whereas if you're McKenna, you're one of the best positional wrestlers in the country. You're really tough to get to, and even when you get to him, it's really difficult at that point. I feel like if he had just played it a little safer, I don't think. I think it's less likely that he gives up the takedown. But I think he was feeling the heat. I think he knew he was stalling a little bit, and that pressure can force you into bad decisions. And I think that was a primary example of pressure forcing a bad decision, and it played right into Nick Lee's hands.
It's rare to see a guy, like you're saying, of McKenna's caliber take a shot like that at that point in the match, where giving it up results in a takedown for the other guy. Like that was. Yeah, that was out of character, not just for McKenna, but just like generally like top 5 guys, right? So,
I think the whole match was out of character for McKenna.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not. I'm not discrediting Nick Lee, who manned up. I mean, he did the dang thing, but from gas. I mean, there was a little message board chatter that, and I don't know the source, but that maybe McKenna didn't handle the cut well. I don't know. Whatever the case, it's not the McKenna we've seen recently, right?
No, definitely not.
I mean, he wrestled hard for 3 periods leading up to that, Nick Lee. That isn't to say Nick Lee doesn't do things during the match that wears you out more than other opponents, but it just seemed off.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he was off towards the end of that match.
And Nick wrestled him tough last year too. So there's a bit of a matchup there. There's, I think it was whatever it was, injury, sickness, missing time related, and then you combine that with a really good guy, a bad matchup, and yeah, Nick Lee won. Wrestled great.
But at that point was really like, having it start at 33 and then them winning the first 2, you're like, oh my God.
This is the most over duel ever. It's like so over. I mean, 33, it was over. 41, it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a rout. And it was a rout, 28-9. And coming up, 149, you want to talk about near disaster, Jared Verclaren almost beat Micah Jordan. And frankly, I have a lot of issues with some of these mat stall calls. The rear standing stall call, I hate it so much.
Yep.
And I hate that there's a new game, there's a new gimmick that these wrestlers are doing from the bottom position. And yes, I'm going to talk about it. And officials, I hope you listen, because they're tricking you and you're falling for it. They're getting up to their feet and they're holding the hands. And because you say in the rule book, it is the top man's responsibility to return you, I'm going to hold these hands right here. I'm not going to let you let me go. I'm going to get that stall warning, okay? And there's nothing you can do about it. I hate that. Now, that didn't happen in this match, but it's the same principle. You do not know. You cannot prove the intent, right? And for you to say it's the top man's responsibility, who's to say Micah Jordan didn't run straight out of bounds to get that restart? You don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I just hate that that's getting called, and that completely changed the match.
Well, I mean, it's what these referees do. They don't want to call subjective things, but they want to call the things that are in the instructional videos.
Yes.
They want to call the hands to the face. They want to call the examples that they have in the videos where a guy's going out of bounds, pushing. I mean, one guy's pushing, one guy's backing up. How can you even tell?
Yeah.
Not only that, but in a rear standing position, that's a wrestling action, right? That's like an action call.
Right.
It's just absurd.
It is. And you know what? You may say, hey, why are you talking about officiating so much? This changed the match. Well, this call changed the match.
Changed the match.
It's. I mean, how can you not talk about it when the official raising their hand at the wrong time? Okay, instead of a guy backing up for 5 minutes, that doesn't get called, but a guy drives a guy out of bounds, maybe a guy runs out of bounds. Then, because it's a black and white thing, you're making the call, but really it's antithetical to the real mission of the sport and your mission, which is to promote good action and to prevent bad action or inaction from happening. So I thought that was a terrible call. I hate it every single time. I've hated it since the beginning of time, and I hated it there. And stop getting tricked by these guys when they get to their feet and they're holding on to the hands. Quit doing it. Hit the other guy for stalling. He's got it. The bottom man's got to be working to get away too.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
I feel like they're just getting completely bailed out from underneath when they get to that rear standing position. I'm sick and tired of it. So don't get tricked. G did the master class of it.
That was incredible.
He held Thompson's hands, got the warning, let go of them. Thompson drops down to the leg for the 5 count. He kicks away for 5. He got a point.
And didn't G Federer like hold him like a crouch lock position or something? Like basically like held him where like Thompson could not leave the leg.
Can't work up. It's horrible. Okay.
So like credit to G for knowing that. Like, but like that is.
You put something in black and white, wrestlers will find a way to game it. We've seen it
every time.
Seen it every time.
And yeah.
All right. So 57, 65, 74. Nolf smashed. Chinzo smashed.
To back up 1 second, what's your thoughts on the whole 49 situation with Berge and Vercleren? Now, Vercleren's showing a little life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have any wins, but I mean, he pushed Micah to the brink. He had a good one with someone.
They lost
but
to
Berge's
lost
been
to
out.
Malik Amin.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a tough scene.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, Kale has said, and for whatever that means, he said Berge's fine. Nothing wrong with Berge. Berge's okay. Everyone knows Berge has a really big cut, and it's tough for him. I don't know if, sometimes you see weight later in the year just gets out of control and you can't get it under control. I don't know if that's what's happening, but, you know that, I don't even know if he weighed in for Ohio State or not.
Yeah,
but Vercleren is at least a sure thing in that he's going to make the weight and he's going to be competitive. I just don't think the upside's there, but if he knocked off Micah Jordan, that would be certainly better than any win that Berge has.
Could it be a situation? I mean, listen, Berge is cutting a ton. We all knew that coming into the season. Could it be a situation like almost a freestyle-esque situation where he's just going to go at the end? He's just going to make weight a couple times.
Yeah, potentially.
Yep.
You could see that. It's going to be tough to take the spot from Vercleren if he can notch a win. Although, how many opportunities? Who does Penn State have remaining? They don't have
Michigan State and Illinois.
Illinois and Buffalo.
So he's not going to really have a chance. If Vercleren goes the rest of the way, there's not really opportunity for him to beat someone, to get that signature win, which, Berge has won with Maruka.
Is there
anything? He beat him head up.
Is there anything the last 2 or 3 times we saw Berge, again, I know Kale's not going to tell us, which is fine, where we saw him look in, knee, an elbow, shoulder, something?
No, he faded against Cole Martin bad. He was up really big in that match, and Martin stormed back. And I can't remember the last time we saw him.
Well, before that, it was...
We got it pulled up here.
It was Jordan Shearer on the 20th.
And he beat him.
Yeah.
And he lost to Cole Martin.
Mm-hmm.
That was bad. He was up like 3 takedowns to 1, I'm pretty sure, or to none after the first period or something approximately like that. So, yeah, I don't know what they're doing at 149. And we probably won't know till large 10s. So, 57, Nolf annihilates Keyshawn. Vincenzo smashes Tishan. Mark beats Ethan Smith pretty soundly. I don't know what there is to really say about those three. Kind of taking care of business, and Miles takes care of no Lollipop Shakur Rashid.
No Austin Hoops either.
No Franny Basono. None of the people we wanted to see. Just kidding. It was cool to see Mason Manville out there, but still no Shakur Rashid. He's managed to not wrestle many good people this entire year, and I think I don't know what you read into that is didn't like what they saw maybe against Michigan. Don't want to send him out there not optimized against Miles Martin.
Yeah.
And which makes sense, especially now he didn't even weigh in. So if they needed him for the duel, he was not like an option, right? Mm-hmm. But it turns out they didn't need him at all.
I thought he looked horrible against Michigan.
Yeah.
Like from Jump Street.
No, he didn't.
And then third period was even worse. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like him against Miles Martin.
Now he could have Emory Parker
this weekend.
This week.
Yep, Sunday.
We'll see if he wrestles. That'd be an opportunity for him to make a jump. I mean, 84 is like no one really wants the number 2 spot at all. You know, Renan loses to Bonacorsi. Zavasky, I think he's currently the number 2, but he's got losses. Vins loses to Cash Wilkie. Parker lost to Vins. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is...
Shakur hasn't wrestled anybody, which... I mean, if he's hurt, but factually speaking, he hasn't wrestled anybody.
Nope.
Right.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
People were projecting, or talking about Big Ten seeds. When you project those Big Ten seeds, what did you have? What did you have Shakur, Nomad? I mean, he got to be the 5th, right?
I haven't
Can't
started.
Be higher than that.
Unfortunately, I haven't started 65 or 84 because I just did 41.65 yesterday, and the next thing I'm doing is 33. Then I'm going to get to the mess that is 84. So.
84. I mean, there's a triumvirate there, 2 through 4 spot, but Shakur is not involved in that.
No,
I mean, he's going to be the 5. I don't see how he could be any higher than 5 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, which is, that hurts if you're on Miles Martin's side. Excuse me. Yeah, not ideal, but it's just getting them to NCAAs, I guess. So, and then, we haven't even talked about this. Bo Nickel just comes out, cradle, pin slay.
Barnstorm.
Oh my gosh. It was just a nightmare evening for Ohio State, just all around. For them to come in and do that, and the number 1 guy to do that to your number 2 guy, just not even a match, just comes out, locks up a near side cradle, and then, I mean, he's so his grip strength is so unreal, the way he's able to navigate the lock and move his body around without giving that up, and gets the pin early on. And Nomad canceled the Hodge voting, which I said is extremely premature.
It's not my fault you didn't get your vote in on time.
No, that's not how it works.
Wow, is Bo becoming a front runner in a race that we didn't think there could be a front runner?
Whoa,
I think
this is bizarre. What a radical notion. I'll say this. Bo obviously at this point is in the lead. However, I don't know if you're aware, the hardest part of the season is coming up where he's got the most challenging matches, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
And do you think he's just going to do that to all? He had an 8-6 win over Eric Schultz, right?
I do.
I think that was his Hodge moment. Guys have their Heisman moment.
That was his Hodge moment.
Well, if he follows it up with a bunch of decisions at Big Ten's NCAAs, I'm just saying it's not canceled. He has 2 more pins than Nolf.
Now you sound like Willie with the percentages.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm saying you canceled it. I'm saying this is
I canceled it. It's over.
It's very close.
It's over.
I mean, most of the season's yet to come. The hardest matches are coming up.
All right. Well, you think it's going to be any different?
Certainly could be.
I mean, it is certainly
just like it could be different for
a thing. The most difficult part of the season's coming up. He's going to have to wrestle.
It could be different for Nolf. He could decision Deacon. Right. He could decision Alec. He could decision Berger. All those things are possible.
That's Christian's point. It will be decided from here going forward.
And Nickel's in a way better position.
Not way better.
He controls his destiny.
2 decisions and they're basically even.
That's asking a lot at 197.
What if I told you there was a guy that pinned someone in the first period at conferences and then lost to him at NCAAs.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, to Bo Nickel.
Okay, fine. Bo Nickel's going to win the Hodge.
That's your prediction, but it's not. It's far
Bo Nickel's
from
going to win the
Hodge. He very well could. He very well could, but it's not a foregone conclusion at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll revisit it.
We'll revisit it when he has the Hodge. I saw him. He was clearing out space in his locker the other day.
He's also being very
sportsmanlike.
That because he did not do that. Everyone wanted to talk about how much class he showed after that Ohio State win. Remember when he told Carver to shut up?
Yeah, he did.
I loved it, and I was like waiting for him to do something, and then he just helped him up.
He just helped him up.
It was a little disappointing.
Yeah, but I'm not saying he listens to FRL, but I'm saying you got two Hodge votes here. Maybe want to get in tune with the voters. He's certainly showing great sportsmanship, although so does Nolf. It's gonna be tough. It's probably gonna come down to heart.
So hey,
Bo should take our advice with the broken heart.
Oh yeah,
that was Penn State. That was Penn State, Ohio State.
Oh Lord.
But man, I'm at PIAA team states, and I just hear bits and pieces from social media every so often. Like somebody would be like, "Hey, did you hear?" And it was this guy going down and that guy going down, and I mean, listen to these guys that lost. Joey McKenna, Sahid Valencia, Nick Renan, number 2 in the country, Patrick Bruckey, Rocco Kaywood. I mean, this weekend was freaky.
Yeah, it was all over the place. And, Zahid going down. So I said right before the Hall Zahid match at Rec Hall, I got Hall that match, but Zahid's a better guy going forward. I haven't seen that Zahid that we saw last year at any point this year. And I don't know if we're going to. I don't know what's going on there in general, Arizona State, but not the good vibes that you want to hear. And just seeing him get balled up, cradled by Daniel Lewis, which that is his hold, that's his thing. But, man, I just did not see that coming. And, yeah, I feel like Mark Hall's probably going to win NCAAs.
Also, so RPI comes out, supposed to come out on the 14th, Thursday. We will know then, we will have an idea then of the seeds. But right now, in my head, it's probably going to be Hall, Lewis, Zahid, Amin.
Okay, so it's as long as Hall and Zahid are separate, I think we feel good about that. But you have said, Nomad, you will never pick Zahid to lose to Mark Hall. He just got pin slayed by Daniel Lewis.
Well, if he doesn't get to him, then it doesn't matter.
Well, okay, if he gets to him.
Yeah, no, I'm still going to pick Sahid. But this was not ideal.
No.
In any way.
It was 6-4 at the time of the fall, correct?
Yeah, he was winning.
Lewis got the first takedown and reversed him.
He looked tired again.
That's the concerning thing. When you're having consistent issues like that.
He was tired against Mark.
Yeah.
That was a concerning thing against Mark, yeah.
And if it's going to be tough to beat Mark if you're not all the way on. I don't know.
Yep.
I just love the way Mark's wrestling right now. He seems super focused. He's shown no kinks. He's had some tough matches, sure, but man, he just looks so locked in. And listen, the variable is program. I believe in Penn State more than I do Arizona State by a large factor. And if if they are comparable talents, which I believe Zahid is a better talent than Mark, but if it's close and it appears they're close, you are stupid if you don't err on the side of Penn State when it's close.
Hey, that's another thing too. And I know we moved on from the Penn State Ohio State duel, but I think that's one of the most interesting things in college wrestling is the fact that Penn State, it's clear that they don't cut as much weight as other teams, right? I mean, across the board. I mean, some guys have sort of tough cuts and everything, but by and large, they cut less. But yet they still seem to be, clearly more third period energy.
Oh yeah,
right. They're so they I don't know. It's like amazing that on one hand they don't do the stuff that they need to do to cut weight, but they still have the stamina. I guess, on one hand they should have stamina because they're not cutting as hard. On the other hand, they have that conditioning.
Right.
And I think they're I don't know, would you say, Christian, that they're the best conditioned team in NCAA?
I think unquestionably. I mean, in terms and what I pack into that is not just can you stand there and be there for 7 minutes. Attacking is taxing. Attacking is what takes your energy. Standing there hand fighting is hard, but standing there hand fighting, snapping guys, attacking, getting on legs, and being in all these exchanges is harder.
And they do that,
and that's what they do. So they attack. It's not just that they're there and don't fade. It's that they're on the offense and that they can chase guys down. So I think
it's everything, right? It's they're more conditioned. They're 5% better on top. They can get riding time when they need to. They're 5% better on bottom. They can get out when they need to, and it's just like all these little things add up, and then over the course of a close match, when you have, a high-level guy, Sahid or whomever, they come out on top because that little 5% over the course of the match equals another 1 or 2 points. So,
yeah, and we've talked about it. We've talked about it so much over the past year or two. We kind of identified 197 being weak. Number 2 loses to number 1, sure, but number 3 and 4 also lose.
Yeah. Well, just 197. Just
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Someone asked what's the which weight could have the highest seeded finalists? It's probably that one. Or I could
25 maybe.
No way. 25?
Yeah, I mean if somebody like Vito gets a crap seed or you know what I mean?
Well, we're going to get to that. Why don't we right now? Cornell absolutely annihilates Princeton. Law enforcement may have to get involved. It was really ugly. 34-7. Vito destroys Patrick Glory. 2 takedowns, a reversal, and then a pin slay. I did not. I thought just straight up Glory would win that match. I just thought it was a good matchup for him. Wrong. Very wrong. Vito is undefeated at 125, and if he runs the table, which, he will be favored in every match moving forward. I don't know what that does for NCAA seeding-wise because he's been at 25 the majority of the year. He will have had some nice wins, but he won't have wrestled Pitch. He won't have wrestled Sebastian, Bresser, Spencer, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know where you seed him in there. But if all those Big Ten
guys... Glory's the only guy at EIWAs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ranked.
But my thing with Vito is I think he's really good, but his highs are highs, but he can have some low lows too. He can have some off matches. I wouldn't be surprised to see him drop a match and be like, whoa, Vito lost to this guy? Could happen, but he is going to be the favorite moving forward. And
how would you see matches with Vito? Who would you pick right now, Vito versus Pitch, Vito versus Sebastian?
I still would pick those guys over Vito, but I don't know, man.
I would too, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think he can.
I do too.
Beat those guys.
I really do too. If his weight's under control, he's excellent. His early motor is so excellent.
Maybe not Pitch. I'm super high on Pitch. I don't know.
Yeah,
I am too.
Vito's not going to get a super good seed. Coach's rank doesn't have very high. He's not going to have good RPI. He only has wins over 2 or 3 qualifiers.
Well, the coach's rank.
Coach's rank is going to change.
It's going to change, and
yeah, but Glory's not high in the coach's rank either.
The coach's rank doesn't matter until after conferences. So it's you're looking at it right now. It's like you're calling the Hodge race. It's like the most important part of the story is going to be written, and once all those guys have losses, if Pitch has a loss, and then they're going to say, hey, this kid's undefeated, and they're going to put him ahead of a guy maybe he doesn't belong in front of.
You think they're going to put Vito ahead of Pitch? If Pitch loses to Spencer Lee?
I don't know.
They're not.
Probably not, but he could certainly end up in the top 5.
He will not.
How high is high, Nomad? I think
why should Jack Mueller be any higher than him?
Why? Jack Mueller doesn't have any wins either.
But
they're okay. They're going.
You're making my point.
They're going to go off of our rankings and everyone else's rankings. Who's going to have Mueller higher because we had him there because he's a prior All-American. Then he hasn't lost. So unless we and everyone, all the ranking services collectively change, they're not going to put Vito over Mueller.
I might change. How about that?
Let's be the change.
Be the change. Straight Gandhi status. All right.
I don't think he'll be seeded less than 6.
If he's undefeated, exactly. No way.
I think he's 6 or 7.
I think he could be top 5. I think we're gonna see some. We're gonna see some losses. You can't just project out the rankings. Some of these guys are gonna take L's. We could see a Bresser. No, probably not Bresser because he's not gonna wrestle anybody. But we could see one of these Big Ten guys. I mean, he should certainly pass.
Sean Russell 6, Raven Foley 7. I could easily see one of those guys taking like 6th or 7th at Big Tens.
I mean, Moisey was beating Russell.
Yeah, Moisey was beating Russell 5-1 with 1:20 to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so he jumps once. That puts him at 6. I have a very hard time seeing him crack the top 5.
Could be tough.
He's going to be in that tier. He's going to be
and
6
again,
or higher.
There's other stuff besides coach's rank also. He's going to be behind some guys in coach ranks and behind some guys in RPI. He's going to be behind some guys in quality wins. And it's all going to add up.
What about bow staff skills?
That is 30% criteria.
See, that's what I've been saying the whole time. He's great with a bow staff, and you never factor that into your calculations. All right, so Princeton learned a hard lesson. They got destroyed. Ben Honus, Green Ellis beat Patrick Bruckey.
Oh my goodness!
Bruckey kind of had it, and then just lost the match. So yeah, that was tough. Cornell still the top dogs in the Ivy, EIWA.
It's like 17 Ivy League titles in a row.
17 in a row. Nomad wasn't even born the last time.
I'm going to fact check that.
No, they've been saying 17 all the time.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, not 17. Only crazy stuff happened on the individual side with Christian. What's happening?
But he's blowing his nose and he's trying to make it not go right into the mic.
My cold has morphed into a runny nose.
Good thing they didn't switch over to me.
I know. It's all right.
Not only did crazy stuff happen on the individual side, but crazy stuff happened on the team side too. I mean, not crazy, but Pitt beats NC State. UNC.
Yeah.
UNC beats Tech, and UNC, as long as they don't lose to Duke, they win the ACC dual title.
Wow.
Which is awesome for them, right? And I can't figure.
Wait, they have NC State this weekend.
Yeah.
They have NC State. Doesn't matter.
Really?
It matters some.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It only matters. They need to win one of the next 2. Promise you.
If they want to win it outright, though, they need to be NC State.
Yeah, NC State's 2-1, so.
I don't understand.
Okay, they can win the share. I don't.
Well,
but they're locked into.
Well, that's a pretty big distinction. They would be sharing it with.
Yeah.
They don't just have to.
Well, they're locked in.
They're
locked in as ACC. They're locked in as ACC champions.
All right.
They're locked in as ACC champions. Anyway, you guys are getting hung up on outright or co, but they're locked in.
Got it. Co, congrats, Willie.
And you know what?
I'm sure they'd like to go undefeated.
Is a big co guy.
Yeah, dude. What?
It strikes again.
I think it's bold that there's only 2 ACC champions. I think there should be a 3-way split for the duel.
Hopefully we can get a 6-way split. That way every team wins.
Yes.
Guys, I don't name them. I'm just giving you stats.
Honestly, Maryland should be in consideration as a former ACC power.
They should. Yeah.
And Maryland should be considered in consideration for anything. They lost 93-0 in 2 duels this weekend. 93-0.
They haven't won a match in a dual meet since January 27th.
Forgive me for not being.
True. That's true.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
And
you know what?
They could get shut out again this weekend against Michigan.
Why wouldn't they?
Well,
Hamida could beat Paris.
Yeah. Conan Jennings beat Paris.
I know. He has beaten him twice now.
I know. I don't like that result.
Conan Jennings is the most difficult person to rank in human history. The highest of highs and the lowest of lows. He is just a roller coaster of ranking emotion. That's why I have no. You know what? If anyone thinks he should be higher, I don't care. He did this. He did this to himself. Conan knows what he's doing.
And also, if anyone thinks he should be lower,
he did this to himself.
He did this to himself.
He's beating good guys.
Also, from a team perspective, the teams out west drive me nuts. They like Fresno State. Fresno State will beat like Wyoming and Utah Valley, and they'll have good dual wins. Who'd they beat last week?
They beat Wyoming.
They beat Wyoming.
They beat Wyoming. They lost at Bakersfield this week.
Bakersfield's beaten some good teams. They beat Stanford this year. Bakersfield's like not that bad. It's all, dude. When you don't have a ton of ranked guys, it's just all matchups. I think you're. Yeah. It's the same thing. I don't even know if they're being necessarily inconsistent. It's just all on how your team matches up in the duel.
Shout out to Kyle Rochelle and Chattanooga. They looked like Campbell was in the driver's seat. The SoCon, they beat Appalachian State, and then Chattanooga beats Campbell.
Whoa.
That is also not a. They did not win outright. Because they lost to yeah, so that's 100% going to be a co-champ situation.
Campbell could have just won if they beat Chattanooga.
So
Chattanooga put a stop to that.
Yep.
So SoCo.
There will possibly be a 3-way tie.
Wow.
Between App State, Campbell, and Chattanooga.
Love it. What is Oklahoma State doing? I asked. No one really knows. They are deciding in mid-February to change their lineup. Almost, a lot of it, because Preston Weigel's back. And I guess they want to wrestle him, so they figured out Dakota Gear's too small. Apparently recently. It was kind of evident to me, like, all along, that he was a little small for 97.
Waiting at 92
well, I think the thing there, I think the thing with Weigel and Gear was all predicated on Weigel's availability. Right. I mean, the staff knew that Gear was too small. But they didn't know if Weigel was going to come back. They didn't know if Weigel was going to what he wanted to do with medical red shirt. You know what I mean?
I'm really surprised he's not taking the medical. But now that he's back, so, okay, John Smith is like, all right, we're cutting Gear back down to 84. We're cutting Jacoby down to 74, and they're going to have to fight it out at 65 or 74. So, is Joe Smith dropping to 65 is the question. What does that mean for Chandler Rogers, who's currently at 65 and doesn't look great or fully back? He's been hurt. And then if Joe goes down to 65, does Chandler come up to 74 and battle Jacoby? He beats out Jacoby. Jacoby goes 84, beats out Gear.
Well, he definitely said Jacoby's dropping, which I don't know that I agree with, because Jacoby beat Foster. He beat Bonacorsi.
Yeah, he's been kind of good.
He beat, Parker will be a qualifier. Colbert will be a qualifier. Like, he's got some good wins. Major Wilder.
So what are you saying, Nomad? Nomad, you're saying let Chandler be 65, let Joe be 74, and let Gear and Jacoby fight it out for 84?
That's what I think is best for them, but I don't know how healthy Chandler is, right? If Chandler's really hurt, then okay.
The best thing for Oklahoma State is Joe Smith at 165. And whatever happens beyond that, I don't know. But that is their chance to win a title at one of those weights. He cannot win 174, in my opinion, even though he was right there with Mark Hall. He can beat Marinelli and Wick and Chenzo. I think he can beat those guys. I think it'll be tough. But I really believe that he's right there.
Well, question there is, first of all, he will literally his seed will be atrocious at 165 because his only results will be at Big 12s.
That's what I don't.
That's fine.
This is what I. Well, yeah, that's fine.
It's fine to an extent.
It's certainly not ideal.
It's dicey.
It's really dicey, and
we have no clue.
Listen, one bad thing, one injury, one little, and you don't qualify. That's why I don't understand making a change this late. Because here's the real thing. We've been talking about Joe Smith, and they've been talking about Joe Smith down at 65 all year long. And they're waiting until now to do it when the stakes are so high. And you're literally, it's one thing you say, okay, who cares about your seed? Okay, sure, fine, you don't care about seeds. We can argue about that later.
That's fine.
But we're talking about not qualifying. You're talking about a guy that may not, one little slip up, one injury, one thing, and you're not even going to Pittsburgh. That's problematic.
Well, how's the weight going to hold up? He hasn't had to cut to 165 all year.
And you don't even know how effective he is at 65. It could be, we see guys just can't hold the weight.
Additionally, we have weigh-in sheets. He hasn't been descending.
Not by much. The lowest I saw him was 172.6 against UNI, but he was back 173.6 against Lehigh.
Right, he's not descending.
Right, so that's why I'm like, is he really going down?
The first time he will make 165 will be at
Big 12s.
Big 12s.
Day one.
That's the first time he's eligible to on a dissension plan, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just this late shuffle. Now it could be, that he just stays at 74 and Jacoby's odd man out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you subscribe to Joe Smith being better than Jacoby. I subscribe to that. I think Joe is better.
John made it clear Jacoby's dropping.
Yeah, I know. So there's an All-American that's going to be on the bench by definition.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. Unless Chandler goes 57. That's a joke. He will not do that.
Probably not even certified.
Not certified. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm excited. It's a nice, interesting wrinkle to discuss.
Fascinating.
Yeah, because, I mean, when's the last time we saw a late season weight change like this?
Sometimes, I think it's the case for a lot of kids, is that they don't want a 6-year. They want it. I'm done this year, right? So I think Weigel's in that boat. I think some of the Penn State guys are in that boat. Like, and if they're not in that boat, they're considering that. Is like, should I get a medical year or
move on?
I mean, sometimes kids are just. Sometimes kids are just like, nah, this is it. And I think that's the case with Weigel. And I think they drug it out a little bit. Not drug it out, but they were deciding. And I think Weigel's just like, nah, this is my last year, and I'm going to graduate, and I'm going to get a job.
Yeah.
No, the other thing, and the whole reason you get a 6 year is because you basically missed an entire year of competition with an injury. And, bodies deteriorate. Like, we've seen guys with 6 years that kind of trudging along because their bodies aren't right. So maybe Preston's like, I don't trust my body for a 6 year, or I don't want my body to go through that for a 6 year.
Yeah.
Like, that's very reasonable.
Real. Okay. Let us discuss, well, we had like kind of a secret little treat. We didn't even know it was going to happen because Sebastian Rivera bumped up to 133 pounds. I was like, wait, this is happening. And, a lot of people are like, why did Sebastian do this? It is interesting because Matten's real at 125, right? And he was actually going to get to wrestle someone that was a Big Ten starter. Finally, someone's going to wrestle him.
Let's kick it up to 11.
He's like, you know what? I'm going to really.
Foley wrestled him Friday.
That's right. He wrestled Foley.
Right.
He goes up and learns.
He already beat Matten this year at CKLV.
Oh, did he?
So,
what was it?
5-2.
5-2. Goes up. Micic beats him. It looked like they were several weight classes apart. It was not a close match. But shout out to Sebastian Rivera for stepping up and taking the match. It was awesome, even though it was not super competitive. And I feel like that match happens. Then we're like, who could bump up and win? At 125, you're at the biggest disadvantage other than like 97 to heavyweight.
Right.
Just body weight percentage wise, if you do that bump. And it was very apparent. I think Sebastian is probably a moderately sized 25, and I would say Micic, who somehow people believe he's a 57 kilogram day of weigh-in. Okay.
He wrestled there like 4 times this year.
Day of weigh-in scratch?
Yeah.
Scratch.
Yeah, Euro's a scratch.
Scratch.
And he medaled at the European Championships with just scratch weight.
All right. There you have it. So Scratch. Okay. So, but he looks way bigger.
For me. Sebastian gets a pass for me. Let him do what he wants. The kid's, he's making weight every match, and he's there to wrestle every match, and he's getting passed over by a lot. I mean, he gets a lot of backups. Let him go up. Let him go up and wrestle.
Well,
Micic. It's cool.
And Micic was at Northwestern. Was there any I don't know.
Oh.
This guy left. I want to show him what he left, which obviously didn't happen. But in his head,
I didn't even think about that. They definitely never overlapped. Nor did the only aspect of the coaching staff would be Storniello, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't even consider that. But
just something to. It might have nothing to do with it, but
might have everything to do with it. But Micic looked great. It doesn't really change how I view Micic. Now, Micic Soriano is this week.
Dude, we haven't. I mean, it's only Tuesday morning, but nobody's been hyping it. I mean, we haven't gotten to it yet. Micic Soriano this weekend, baby. Is that the most premiere this weekend?
Yeah, for sure.
I have to assume.
That's the big one. That's the big ticket. And that is Big Ten Network. Is that Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Now, do we want to talk about it yet? Do we want to get into it?
You get into it, Christian. No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, so we were talking about it this morning. It's at the Rack.
Oh, snap.
We thought it was in Ann Arbor. It's at the Rack.
Oh, is Micic ready for this raction? It's gonna be wild. Now, we've seen Soriano lose here.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn so much here. Because Micic, he just might be beyond everyone, right? That's possible. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to say he's beyond everyone. I think Soriano's going to make this super competitive match. I think it's a 1 to 2 point match. I mean, Soriano really doesn't get blown out by anyone. The biggest loss of his career is like 5-1 to Spencer.
Yep.
That's it. That's the worst he's ever been beaten in college. So I think it's a tight one, and I'm curious to see how the matchup works.
Nicky's been scoring a lot more. I mean, right. I know it hasn't been against the greatest of competition, but I think it shows a different kind of mindset. He's attacking.
Yep, he looked good. He's finishing quick. He's getting to his offense. Now, what's interesting is both these guys are very good re-attackers, right? So two of Micic's takedowns against Rivera were re-attacks, and you would think, and he got to his own offense. I think he had 4 takedowns in the match.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, I think 4. But, how is that matchup? How is the re-attack angle play into a guys that maybe are just kind of both set up for the same thing that only comes if a guy attacks? I think Micic is big. Why I think he's got a good chance against Soriano is his finishing. Is he can be in bad positions, head outside, head inside, and find his way to get to it. And he's got a lot of different ways to score. I don't think the mat will be a factor, but if it was, Micic is maybe one of the best guys transitioning from takedown to turn with his Turk series.
Yeah.
And he's just really, really good in all positions. Soriano's been my NCAA champion pick. I'm not ready to back down off it, but this weekend could certainly change that for me.
Yeah, I probably have Micic by a hair right now, especially given Soriano losing to DeSanto, which,
right?
Yeah, it happened, right?
Correct.
But the elbow control, I'm really curious to see, is Micic going to be able to hit that in a big moment in that match on the road?
Speaking of Rutgers, Ashnault got taken down 3 times in the first period by Fernie Silva.
He did. Silva pushed him to the brink, kind of. The near fall was definitely out of bounds.
Yeah.
They didn't challenge it, so that makes it hard. And, and that's not to say that Ashnault wouldn't have found a way otherwise. Silva airmailed a go-behind takedown to Ashnault at the end. I think he might have been starting to fade, but a lot of people asking, my first thought when I saw a close match, I was like, one, you're coming down off this high. You see it all the time after a big win. Guys,
maybe the lights weren't on. But maybe they were resting in the dark.
I don't know the electricity situation. It could have been simply candles at Indiana. Second of all, first match, I think that could have been a factor too. He's probably never started a dual meet, since high school, and he was like a 6-pounder or 3-pounder. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it other than down match. He found a way to get a way to move on. But
he looked a lot better on Sunday. First period pin.
Oh, yeah, against Phileas, who's
decent,
pretty comparable to Silva in terms of pedigree. So, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot that was another weird thing that happened.
Sidebar from that. Number one, I don't know because I haven't gone back and watched the whole duel, if Indiana had the brick or not. If they did, I think they should have thrown it.
It was the first match of the duel.
Then I think you should have thrown it. But sidebar from that, I like how Indiana's wrestling this year.
Yeah.
I liked Elijah Oliver's enthusiasm after getting the pin against Townsville.
That was dope.
Right? So
Angels
got the boys wrestling hard, and the results aren't quite there yet, but we talk about this all the time, right? When a new coach comes in, what do we want to see more than anything, right? Effort, hard, right? Are they competing hard? Are they fighting through every match? If they lose, they lose, but the whole point is like, okay, you show hard, you get recruits in, team gets better and better and better. So good job, Angel.
Yeah, I think you're seeing that at Indiana. I think you're seeing it at Michigan State as well. We're not seeing it at Maryland. It is a problematic scene. They need help. Someone help Maryland. We want Maryland to be good at wrestling. They are not good right now.
Okay, so we are almost at the hour mark, which means we're close to Q's from F's. Do we want to talk about, because Oklahoma State has Missouri, Iowa has Wisconsin, those set up well the Iowa-Oklahoma State match next week. Do we want to save those for Thursday, because that also plays into the seeding articles that I wrote?
Why don't we save it?
Okay.
We'll go Iowa-Oklahoma State. We'll start ramping that up Thursday on FRL.
But I do want to discuss those matches. I want to discuss my seeding articles because I think it all ties together, and again, it all flows into Iowa-Oklahoma State. So, okay, so let's do Q some Fs.
All right, we have friends. They have questions. They are our friends, not Willie's. Willie has made them their enemy. Quick question, easy answer. What does Micic's win over Rivera do for him at NCAAs for seeding? It does 0 things for him. It helps none. But it is just a nice little feather in his cap. Mm-hmm. Jake from State Farm. Whose FRL dad would win in a fight? My money's on Piles only because his dad skipped the 8th grade. That's where my money is too. I think we all think our dads would win.
I don't know. My dad was Division I wrestler for Lehigh, so I'm putting my money on him.
My dad was an NCAA champion for Iowa.
Damn it.
People forget
my
that.
Dad, you don't want to hear my dad.
What'd you say?
My dad would win, and it wouldn't be close.
Okay.
Are we talking about...
My dad served this nation.
Or are we talking about nation?
He said a fight. A fight.
A fight?
Street rules. Deerfield rules.
Nobody's beating my dad in a fight. That could be strongly confirmed by court documents.
I think
by a ledger.
I think this could actually be true. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they would get in the fight, and then Bracky's dad would represent us.
Yeah.
Represent our fathers. It'd be great.
Yeah.
That can be confirmed by court documents.
Yes.
That's good.
For how much longer was Moore pinned than Sahid? Switch the refs. Well, it's funny.
The Sahid one was quick.
But he was definitely pinned.
Yeah.
Here's my thing about like pin calls sometimes. Sometimes when you know the pin, I feel like in the ref's mind, when you know the pin is imminent, you just wait to be 1,000% certain. Like the Kyle Connell, Colin Moore, or maybe that was just like he just did not want to hit the. I remember watching that like 1,000 times. We were like, what was he waiting for? He was so pinned forever. Wow, it all comes back to Colin Moore being pinned. But yeah, I think he was just.
Why was there controversy? Well, were some people saying that Colin Moore wasn't pinned?
No, we were saying
against Bo?
No. Oh, no. I think he's saying. I think actual Cannibal One is saying Moore was pinned for a while. Why did it take so long for him to call that?
Oh, okay.
Juxtapose that with Sahid, who was like his blades hit and boom, he touched the mat.
Right.
They were both
it was
pinned.
Quick, but I don't.
I still think
Sahid was
pinned,
quick,
yeah.
but I think it was right. I think it's the right call.
Yeah, so Moore was probably pinned longer than Sahid for sure. How much do you feel that the weight descent rules affect the amount of super matches that would happen if those rules were not in place? I think it impacts it big time because they have to weigh in. Rivera had to make 33.0 or 25.0 and then go up to a guy that made 33.0. That's really hard.
The most he could have weighed is like maybe 25.8. Right. Like
we're talking about that's one bear claw.
Yeah,
that's not enough.
That is not to.
He needs more than that. Yeah, I think it does. I've seen coaches, suggest that it really impacts a lot of what they can do lineup wise in terms of wrestling, even backups too. It's like you got two guys battling it out at 141. Man, we need them at 149, but if we either have to weigh him in at 41.0 or blow his certification for one duel, it's really stupid. Pops Redfoot. In the video you posted where the mom ran on the mat after her kid got hurt, what do you think of many people defending what appeared to be a clear attempt at intentionally injuring the other wrestler? Listen.
I don't think that was a clear attempt to injure the kid. I think it was a kid that didn't know what he was doing.
That looked like inexperienced wrestlers doing weird.
Exactly, yeah. It was just a weird kid thing that you see when they first learning how to do moves.
Or he thought he had it better than he did, and so he just kind of held it tighter. Like
they're not understanding how the body works, or when he knows he has a legal lock, and he just thinks he can bend the body like that, which he can't.
Come to the Shenandoah Valley. That doesn't measure up. You just see all kinds. These new wrestlers, they just do weird stuff. They don't even illegal moves, illegal slams. Most of it doesn't come from a malicious place. The main thing is, and this is what Coach Branch was saying, and Coach Ward, they got to get parents away from the mat. It's a bad thing at the little league level, at high school, collegiate. You're seeing guys
CKLV.
Yeah, CKLV. Well, that was
at least they were in. I guess they were in the stands.
They almost got to find stands. You can't do anything about that.
They can't really control that.
But in general, parents should not be near the mat, and it's just like we just let people way too close. Now you could see this, and this could very easily happen in little league basketball. You could run on the court. I was once an official for little league basketball, and had some skirmishes with parents. It was a pretty tough scene. But in general, we just have to get parents away because parents are crazy people. And it's not just wrestling parents. All parents are crazy because they're irrational. And, it's bad. And there's not really much of a justification for a mom coming out on the mat. But props to the kid for running away.
That was the funniest part of the weekend. That was the
goal.
People were making fun of him. And it's like, what the kid's going to square up? Like...
Square out moms.
And also, he probably saw, because his back was turned, was someone running at him. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know what's happening. Like, I'm removing myself from the situation.
Right. That kid shouldn't be getting clowned on. Who should be getting clowned on is the kid for whose mom. I mean, I would be like, your mom went out there, your mom's protecting you.
Yeah, that's a great point. So moms, dads, get out of there.
Chill.
Okay. Who is the best NCAA wrestler to not win a Hodge? And how would that person stack up to Nolf Nickel? This may be more of a project question than anything, but who is the best, who had the best resume to not win a Hodge? Now, the best year to not win a Hodge of recent memory is definitely Zane's sophomore year.
Two different things.
What was the debate? Wasn't it very close?
I think it could be Varner. Varner did not win. Ness won it that year. He's had a little more bonus.
2010. And I think also it was impacted by the way Ness won and kind of the career that he had. I think there was some emotional...
Ness's bonus rate was high that year.
I don't think it came down to that. I think it strictly came down to bonus point victories. And Varner had this reputation of wrestling really close matches, and Jason Ness did not. Because if it came down to career, Varner had a far better career.
That's right. That was a really weird one because Ness was never kind of close to a title. Before that, Christian's verklempt.
Just keep going.
Ness was kind of never close to a title, yet Varner was like a legend, winning. I think that was his third title. Was it his third or
second title? Four-time finalist.
Second title, right? So it was this awesome year, punctuated by a dramatic come from behind win, plus the most bonus points versus a long career, 4-time finalist career, something like that. So it was legacy versus 1 year, and that was long before. That was before I had a Hodge vote, but I thought that Ness should have won it that year based on a singular year.
I got a good one for career. Greg Jones was a finalist in 05 and 04. Greg Jones was a...
Oh, my gosh.
Greg Jones was an OG.
He was so good.
When he was at his best,
he was so good.
He's one of the, top 10 maybe of all time, right?
Seriously, yes. He had one bad tournament. Literally, that's it.
Ever.
Yeah.
What was he taken down less than 10 times?
It was 8 or something like that, yeah.
8 takedowns.
It's insane.
Nomad and I gave that up in round 1 of district.
Yeah. It was
Hey, how about Mike Pasillo was a finalist in 2009?
Well, so that 08 one was goofy. That was when Metcalf had the loss and won. Oh no, Pasillo was 2 years in a row.
It was the year he lost to Herbert in the finals.
That's weird.
They had well, first of all, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finalists, and they said we cannot have Mike Pasillo not on the Hodge finals list. He didn't win. Yeah. Mike Pasillo was great, NCAA champion. I just don't quite understand that.
Yeah,
how he made it. Well, also Metcalf was a finalist too. So we had 2 runner-ups that were finalists. It was couldn't get Jaggers on there.
Yeah.
No love for Jay.
I would say so. The 2 careers that didn't win would be Ed Ruth and Greg Jones.
Mm-hmm. One time, Mark Ironside was the only finalist. Oh yeah, Ed never won.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
never won.
I would say those are my top 2.
Yeah.
Forget about it. It's Ed.
Yeah, it's.
Well, I don't know. Forget about it. I mean,
no, forget about it.
Greg Jones is really good.
Erase your memory. Erase your memory right now and forget about it.
Greg Jones is good. He can be there. He can be 1 or 2.
Listen.
Yeah, he can. He can be in the conversation. But Ed's bonus point rate.
The most amazing thing about Ed is like, Ed, we need a major. Oh, okay.
Ed,
it's like a minute left in the match. Like, oh, okay.
It was so. I went back and rewatched that. He was up like 5-2 with a minute left or something crazy. It's like the major's not even a thing, and then it's like, oh, you got to take that. It's like, oh, let's go.
I guess I can do this.
Let me get 3 takedowns in a minute. Yeah.
All right, fine. So it's Ed 1, Greg Jones 2.
Yeah. Where was the whining when Ed Ruth didn't win a Hodge? He was an all-timer.
It's because people love David Taylor.
They did. Well, also Ed lost his senior year to.
Well, yeah, it didn't.
Gabriel, but his junior year, he was undefeated his sophomore and junior year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think he had
his junior year was better than his senior, even like
bonus wise.
Yeah.
In his junior year, Dake won it because he won 4 titles at 4 weights and beat the Hodge Trophy winner.
Right.
Which I guess that checks out.
Yeah, that's.
What was J.O.'s best year? Didn't he go 1 year without being taken down?
His sophomore year was probably J.O.'s best year.
But he was not. No, I'm sorry.
11.
He was a finalist his sophomore year. He was also a finalist his senior year, but his senior year was Dake and Ruth. That's a hard top 3 to crack.
And yeah.
But in 11, you had Burroughs senior year,
who was great,
and then you had Robles, who had like 18 techs.
Yeah.
Beat the returning champ. So Oliver, I would say, is a notch below Ruth and. I mean, Oliver obviously amazing, but we're talking bonus rates and things like that. Probably right below the Ed Ruth, Greg Jones tier.
So, we'll say Ed.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Toby Dog 1206. Give him a follow. I'm sorry, I'm on the verge of a sneeze here. I'm very scared. Regarding Penn State lineup next season, what the odds of Shaq and Kassar get another year, and the likelihood of Hall, Chenzo, Lee taking an Olympic shirt? So I think one of the most interesting things coming into this freestyle season is how attainable Olympic red shirts are. If Nomad could pull up the criteria again, there's a lot of ways you can get these bad boys.
Dude, you talk about it is going to be fascinating. We have so much to talk about. We'll have so much to talk about all summer and into the preseason between what Penn State has graduating and what they could bring back with medicals and who's taking Olympic red shirts from Iowa and Michigan and Oklahoma State and whatever. The team race next year is already lit. It's gonna be fire. It's gonna be so captivating. But with guys potentially taking medicals and potentially getting Olympic red shirts, it's even more insane.
So the criteria, and we've already written an article. It's called "So Who's Qualified for an Olympic Red Shirt So Far?" Criteria 1 and 4 are already set. Past national team members, which is top 3 from World Olympic Team Trials.
That's hard.
And that's very hard, but not quite as hard. Previous cadet, junior, U23 world medalists. So Jared Verclaren is qualified for an Olympic red shirt.
Mark Hall already qualified.
Right. So the other 2 that have yet to happen.
Matt Ramos.
Ramos.
Top 8 at the 2019 Senior U.S. Open, so in Vegas at the end of April. and then here, top 3 at 2019 NCAAs or NCAA champ from previous year, and top 2 from 2019 U23 trials. So there's a
top 3 from NCAAs.
Yes.
Jeez.
Dang. Yeah, that's
so. You know,
Bill
you talk
Zadek,
about
wide net.
Yeah. So you talk about Nick Lee, he would probably have to be top 3 from NCAAs or place top 8, 65 kilos at U.S. Open, which I don't know that he would go seniors.
Do you have to go?
Year.
I mean, Nick Lee should go 65 because that's probably the best weight for him. But you don't have to go to an Olympic weight to be top 8. It just says top 8.
Correct. It just says top 8.
So, man, and you think about the U.S. Open. Now, it might be different this year because a lot of people have the similar goal. But there's so many medical guys. Just check it. You could backdoor your way into a top 8 at the Open. Mm-hmm. You see it sometimes. It's going to be tougher this year. I think the Open's going to be. But if you go a non-Olympic weight,
yeah, especially some of the high quality NCAA guys that NCAA guys sit out a lot of freestyle seasons, right? To get healthy, to do clubs like your clinics, like it's all. But to then kind of throw them in, who knows?
Yeah. So it's going to be fascinating to see. I don't have any intel on what. I don't think Penn State is taking next year off. I think they're going to go hard.
So to me, I think Penn State is the favorite, not like clear favorite like they were this year, where it's like, yeah. But if they are going to have to take some red shirts and kind of punt like 2015.
Well, the interesting thing, another interesting thing with the medicals, that they could get a medical for Kasser. They could get a medical for Rashid. They medical for Nevels. But they also have 3 guys on gray shirts that technically could take a red shirt. Joe Lee could take a red shirt.
Beard and Brooks.
Beard and a Brooks.
Seth Nevels.
That's why I think that's why I think this has been kind of planned out for a while, that they were going to request these 6 years. And that's why those guys were all gray shirting this year. Why would you have Seth Nevels gray shirting when both Nick Nevels and Kassar are seniors? Kind of weird.
Well, yeah. I mean, it gives them the option.
Right. Right.
It gives them the option. So I don't know. Nevels could be done. Kassar could be done. Shaq could be done. I think there's a great chance that a couple of those guys are just ready to move on with their lives.
I think Kassar, if he wants to do it, has the best chance of getting it. Because he missed 2 full years, no matches wrestled, nothing. Never weighed in, just was on the shelf.
Yeah.
Nevels and Shaq kind of wrestled a little bit more.
All right.
Oh,
What's
okay.
next?
I think that's good. I think we crushed this show. 9:18.
Crushed it.
I need to blow my nose, but I'm going to hold off one last time.
Can somebody get him some Benadryl or something?
Yeah.
I took Mucinex this morning. It's just not, I don't know. I'm fine.
Get him to the sauna.
I know. I need to get over there. Feel free, Brady and Brad, please play us out. Roll that beautiful outro footage.
Tomorrow on Who's Number One on the Show? Freshman Big Board.
Freshmen. Okay. Thank you guys. 352. Sorry that we were not on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Trying to get it figured out.
We'll try to get it figured out. It was Bracky's screw up.
It was not.
But we'll get the show up. I'll get the show up right now. Go to the website. Read my Big Ten seeding articles. 141, 165. I'm going to try to get 33 out, and I don't know if 84 is coming out this week or next week. But actually read the articles and think about the arguments. Don't just be like, "Lord, this is stupid," because one helps Penn State and one hurts Penn State fans.
I actually don't care. Click it and don't read it for all I care. Just give us those sweet, sweet page views. We'll be back Thursday. Who's leaving? Will you be here?
I'm here till Saturday, baby.
Full squad. For the first time, full week, full squad. Willie probably won't be here.
Yeah, Willie's definitely
No way, I'll be here.
We'll see. We'll probably 7:52. He'll be like, can't make it. They're hanging drywall. All right,
that is happening.
All right, boys and girls. See you next time. Thank you as always.